Joining me live now is our Sky News US contributor, Michael Ware. Michael, great to see you. This has really stepped up in recent days. You have not only the President approving the deployment of additional troops, not a lot, but you also have a lot of this bullshit language coming from the United Kingdom too.
Well, you certainly do. And, the United Kingdom does have a role perhaps to play here, but, we all know that the UK is not the great power it once was. So the solution to this will lie beyond the United Kingdom. So, yeah, look, President Biden, in a sense, is stepping this up. He is actually deploying 3,000 troops to NATO's eastern flank. And so that's an entire Striker squadron, that's mechanised infantry being sent to Romania, wow, and an entire brigade combat team from the 82nd Airborne going from Fort Bragg to Poland. Now, what this does is that, it puts these American troops and, of course, NATO troops right there on the sidelines around Ukraine, which means that any Russian offensive would have no room for error. If there's errant artillery shelling that goes over the border and hits NATO or American troops, if there's confusion in the air and one jet shoots at another, there's all sorts of horrific potential for spillover effects. But that's also part of the point of positioning these American troops right there on the border, because one would have to think Putin doesn't want to take that risk of actually engaging with NATO troops, because that would draw in all of NATO under the Article 5 commitment to come to each other's defence. So we may be about to see Vladimir Putin finally put his cards on the table so we can see what he really, really wants and what he really, really is prepared to give.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of political calculations being made at the moment, including there in the US, Michael. I mean, Joe Biden, put it quite crudely, he's got the midterms coming up. He's not a particularly popular leader at the moment. Is he needing to explain to the American public why he is leading these efforts along with the United Kingdom?
Well, he obviously does feel the need to communicate the reasons and the purpose of all of this to the American people, because, the White House has been doing that energetically, communicating to its own constituents. But I think by and large, the American public is going along with this initiative to attempt to contain Russia, but also to maintain its relationship with NATO. Now, there are always some who will disagree that this is either too little and not aggressive enough. We heard some Republicans today saying that this is too aggressive and it's too much and it will provoke Putin. But I think that the middle ground of both the American street and American politics is on board with acknowledging the absolute necessity of confronting Putin and not being seen to back down, because if they, one crack here in Ukraine and who knows what other divisions Putin will attempt to exploit. So, and it's all about, remember, not just America, but all of NATO and all of Europe speaking in one voice to the Russians. And marshalling that kind of unity has been very important. And so too, it will be vital to hold on to that unified front, so Putin is just hearing the same thing over and over and over from all of Europe's leaders.
Yeah, look, one Australian Prime Minister put it this way. He said he was going to shirt front Vladimir Putin. It didn't really happen in that sense, but I guess that's what we can talk about metaphorically here. Before I let you go, Michael, we're not seeing a lot from Germany, are we?
Yeah, okay, well, that's a great point that you raise, because, look, historically, Germany has been the leader of Europe. historically, Germany has been Russia's closest ally. There's a lot of trade between those two nations. There's some shared strategic interests. So you're correct. In all of this, the one European and the one NATO nation that has been, the most backward in coming forward has indeed been Germany. Don't forget they've got the Nord Stream 2 gas pipeline built and ready to go, linking Russia and Germany to supply gas directly. That's very much to both Russia and Germany's advantage. Germany wants to play both sides of this thing. Obviously, they're going to maintain their role as a part of NATO and Europe, but they also want to play Moscow off against that as well. But you see where Germany is playing both sides of the fence in things like, for example, Estonia, a NATO member, wants to send howitzers, these are artillery weapon systems, to Ukraine. But because those howitzers were made in Germany, they need a German license to be able to transfer them. Wow. And Germany won't give that license. Meanwhile, the Ukraine and Poland and everyone else are sending in tank-killing javelins and helicopter-destroying Stinger missiles. And Germany is playing it right down the middle.
Yep, not very straightforward, is it? Michael, we'll keep a close eye on it. Thanks so much.